Okay, so I figured it might be time to do a little update on my Barlow collection since the Barlow pocket knife is one of my favorite patterns and is a pattern that I have gathered quite a few knives together of that pattern. So I have a little collection going of Barlows, and I figured it was time to do a bit of an update on that. It's, what is it, July? Yeah, it's July 2021. And this is my Barlow collection as of right now. Um, where do I want to start here? Let's start here. Uh, Baron Sons Barlow. I really like the bone covers on this one. This one does have carbon steel blades. Um, it's not. It has not been carried a whole lot. Just generally because I have knives that I would consider to be higher quality. Although it's definitely not a bad knife considering I think I spent $40 on it, which is a lot less than most of these knives that I have here. Overall, probably a pretty good example of what a Barlow should be, um, except for the shield in the handle, which is kind of weird for Barlows. But a lot of modern companies do that for some reason. But nice looking handle covers, clip blade, and a little pen blade here, both made out of carbon steel. These are made in the United States, which is cool for like a $40 knife to be made here in, I think they're made in Alabama, although don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. They're made somewhere here in the United States though. This knife did have some issues. It had a lot of side to side play on the main blade. So I fixed that the way I normally do, hitting the pivot with a hammer, and you can see the pin sticking out and everything. I don't get that worried about that on pocket knives for the most part because they are tools and everything, so I don't really care. To have a pivot pin sticking out doesn't bother me, but the side to side play really does bother me, so I fixed that. Um, okay. This Barlow, I have no idea when I got this. I must have gotten this when I was a kid at like a flea market or something. But it's a cut Master Barlow. There's still a lot of blade left on this main clip blade here. My light's really reflecting. There we go. You can see this was made in Utica, New York. Believe these are steel bolsters, judging by what they look like, and some sort of composite handle. It doesn't really feel like Delrin or anything, so I think it's just some sort of plastic, possibly maybe even like a Bakelite, although it doesn't really look like Bakelite. But it's got that, fake saw cut, and they're pretty much just plastic handles. But this knife's still pretty good. Not a whole lot of action on it or anything. Um, but half decent knife that I must have bought at a flea market when I was a kid. Okay, now we'll go here. Uh, Case's vault knife for 2019 was the Barlow, and I kind of went crazy on buying Case Barlows. I think you can still buy them from some places. I think some places still have them. You're not going to find this one anywhere though, because they did two in chrome vanadium. One of them was an exclusive for Shepherd Hills Cutlery, and that was a yellow Delrin. And then they did this one, which was like a saw cut bone um, one. In the blades are in CV, which is Case's carbon steel, which is my preferred steel when it comes to Case. But you can see there it's got some staining on it from me cutting food and such with it. And of course, you get your clip blade and then a little pen blade. This knife, like the Baron Sons, had some side to side blade play. I fixed it so the pivot pin sticks up a little bit. Not a big deal on knives that you throw in your pocket and carry and everything. Now, if you're a collector or whatever, that probably would ruin the value of the knife. But I'm not somebody who collects knives for their value. I just kind of collect what I like and carry it and enjoy it and everything. Um, But yeah, that's a Case Barlow in chrome vanadium with this saw cut handle covers, which aren't really saw cut. I've seen way better examples of this, and I was kind of disappointed that I got such a poor example of saw cut when compared to some of the other ones that I've seen on like Instagram and stuff. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. Rough Rider. I'm not a huge fan of Rough Rider. I haven't had great luck with Rough Rider. Did see that they had a carbon steel Barlow and something other than their yellow Delrin. So I figured I'd order one. I'm not super impressed by it or anything. I mean, it's certainly probably a usable knife, I'm sure. Uh, the action on it's not great. You know, clip blade, little pen blade. You know, pretty standard setup for Barlow. It's got these denim micarta that feels like plastic, but you know, they call it micarta. And this one, once again, like the Case and the Baron Sons, had some side to side play, so you can see there I tried to fix that, and I did fix it, but I don't know, I'm just not crazy about Rough Rider knives. Like, I have a fair few of them, but most of the time when I'm carrying a pocket knife, since I have more high quality knives like Great Eastern Cutlery, Case, Boker, usually I want to carry one of those and I leave the Rough Riders at home, although occasionally I do carry a Rough Rider knife. Let's do this other Case Barlow here. This is, I'm not sure exactly what they call this. I really like how thick the handles are on this one, though. It really feels substantial in your hands. This one's, of course, stainless steel, single clip blade. And this one was actually a gift from the Finest Tradition on Instagram. Because I was just joking around with him when he posted a picture of this knife and said something about not really wanting it. And I kind of joked around and commented, I'll take it. And then he sent it to me. So that was kind of interesting. That was nice of him. I certainly don't expect that from anybody, but I thought that was kind of cool. So this one is probably one of my favorite uh, Barlows that I have, just because he sent it to me and everything. I haven't really carried it a whole lot because it is stainless steel and everything, but you know, it is a cool knife, and it was really cool of him to do that. And I really do like the handle covers on this one. It's very autumn, like very fall-ish, I guess would be the way to say it. And this side looks great. This side, yeah, I mean, it's Case. Case's handles usually don't match. And there are people who really throw a fit about that. I don't care. I use my pocket knives. Stuff like that doesn't really bother me. But this is a nice knife. The action on this one's great. Even the centering's good. Okay. my my grail knife here, the ever elusive Great Eastern Cutlery TC Barlow. This is the 2020 one. That was the special order from Charlie Campagna with the sepia saw cut bone, which looks great. It's got this etch on it, says genuine Barlow. Um, and of course, these are pretty much what I would consider to be like the gold standard of what a Barlow should be. Full steel construction, steel liner, steel back spring, steel bolsters. Of course, you got your, you know, carbon steel blade here. And I believe the rest of this is also carbon steel. Um, and then, of course, the pins are also steel. Good luck finding one of these at a price that isn't ridiculous. I paid ridiculous price for this because it's been my grail knife ever since I found out that the TC Barlow was like a thing. Just because, you know, they're so well made and everything, and the Barlow is like a huge piece of like cutlery history when it comes to like pocket knives anyway. The Barlow is like huge in that, and I really love the Barlow pattern. So ever since I found out that the TC Barlow was like a thing, I've wanted one, and they did the run in 2020. Of course, I tried to get in on getting one, and it didn't happen because people are crazy for Great Eastern Cutlery right now. Um, so it didn't happen. So I had to buy it from the secondary market, which, as you can imagine, if you know anything about Great Eastern Cutlery, left me paying a lot for this knife, but it's my grail knife, so I was willing to pay for it. Haven't really carried it a whole lot. You can see there it does have some patina on the tip there. Um, but I mean, it hasn't spent a whole lot of time in my pocket. I did just carry it last night, so, but I mean, for the most part, it's probably one of my least carried knives, and I should probably work to change that and carry it more. But that's the TC Barlow by Great Eastern Cutlery and a special factory order from Charlie Campagna. Another good example, a really good example of a Barlow, a slightly smaller Barlow when compared to the TC Barlow. Let me just show you the handles here. You see it's about a 1/4 inch smaller frame size. And this is the Boker Barlow. This one's in Stag here. These knives are made in Sulligen, Germany, and they're really well made. I really like Boker. It's got this reverse frosted etch, which I'm not crazy about. Some people like it, some people don't like it. After the blade starts to patina a little bit, it starts to look kind of strange for a little while. But it's not a big deal or anything. The Stag covers on this are pretty cool looking. It's kind of like a smoother Stag, like maybe they polished it a little bit or something. Nickel silver bolsters, brass liners, and I don't know if the shield's pinned or not. I originally didn't think it was, but there's a hole down there that you can just barely see it. You can't really see it on camera. So now I'm not sure if it's pinned or not. I'm not sure if Boker pins all their shields. But anyway, just another good example of a Barlow knife. And I got this off of A.G. Russell's website. I think it was basically like a special order for A.G. Russell, because I haven't seen the Stag Boker Barlow anywhere else, and I think it was around $90 or something like that, so not crazy. But yeah, cool knife. And while I'm talking about Boker, I guess I'll grab the other Boker here. This one is another Boker Barlow, of course, so it's the same frame and everything. This one's in the plum wood, which this one was around $120. So actually the Stag one, the more desirable one, I would think, was actually more money, or less money, than this plum wood. Of course, again, you got your C75 carbon steel blade, the reverse frosted etch. And this one did have some patina on it, and I polished it up, and it didn't get rid of that frosted etch the first time I did it. So I guess, if you're somebody who likes to keep your blades looking nice, my guess would be you could probably polish this a couple times before the frosted etch goes away. But once again, this shield definitely is pinned. You're not going to be able to see it. Oh, a little bit maybe. You can kind of see the pin there, I think, because you can see the pin sticking out. The action on this one's not quite as good as the action on the Stag one, but still pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Boker makes a good knife if you're looking for a good pocket knife and don't feel like spending Great Eastern Cutlery money. There are still some Boker Sulligen made knives floating around on certain websites, like DLT and Smoky Mountain Knife Works, some Copperheads and Trappers and stuff. I think there's even a couple Stockmans out there that aren't too badly priced, $60, $70, something like that. Around the same price as like a case knife, maybe slightly more, but the quality's a lot better. At least in my experience, it's been a lot more consistent. Okay, and while we're talking about case, I'll grab another Case Barlow here. This is a single blade spear point Case Barlow in this cool Rogers jig blue bone, navy blue bone, with this Rogers jig pattern, the Case USA stamped into the bolster there, and it's a single spear point blade. Yeah, I mean, I like the blue covers on this knife. The action's pretty good. Um, it seemed like Case did a pretty good job on the Barlows that they did in 2019. Um, but I haven't been super impressed with anything since the Barlows. The Copperheads are all right, at least the ones that I had gotten, except for the Amber Jigbone one that I got that the blade was scraping the liner. That was disappointing, but I got, I think, three more and they were all pretty much, fine. Um, but yeah, single bladed spear point Case Barlow, of course, stainless steel, because Case makes most of their knives in stainless. I wish they made more in their carbon, like I think most of us do. Um, okay, let's do this one here at the top. This was a flea market find a year or 2 years ago, probably 2 years ago. I saw it and I think he wanted like $15 for it, and I was like, okay, cool. Something like that. Maybe it was 10. I don't remember. It was something where I was like, okay, I'm willing to pay that. Because this is just so cool. Did try to sharpen it. The blade is sharp enough that if I wanted to actually use this as a pocket knife, I could. But as you can see, the blade's been ground away a lot. It's got some interesting marks in it because, people, I think back in the day, people just used to sharpen their knives using belt sanders. So a lot of times you get weird looking blades. But the action on this knife is crazy, at least on that main blade. And it's got this little pen blade here too that looks like it hasn't been used like at all. But this was, ooh, the bolster's like York Dutch something, York Dutch something, and then it's got a tang stamp here. York Cutlery Co. Solingen, Germany. So I guess this was made in Solingen, like Boker. And Otter Knives are, which are two knife brands that I really do like. And this was a really cool find, I think, at a flea market. Um, Even though I haven't really used it and don't really plan on using it, I thought it was just cool to have as kind of like a example of what a Barlow knife was a long time ago. Because I don't know how old this knife is, but I assume it's pretty old. Like, I don't know, 60s. Probably older than that, but I don't want to like guess way too old. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously an older knife. Um, a more recent acquisition here, this Remington Barlow. This was during the time when I believe Camillus was making the Remington knives. So of course made in the United States. It's got this main clip blade, secondary pen blade, like most Barlows seem to be. It's got these cool green Delrin saw cut covers, which look awesome, I think. The action on this knife could be better. It's a little light, but it's not like bad or anything. The clip blade is a nice looking clip blade, I think. And I mean, I like the knife overall. It seems to be put together pretty well. I got this used on eBay, of course. And when I say used, I don't think it's been used much, if at all. Might have just been, kept in the box for its whole life. But I did buy it off eBay, and I spent I think I bid $41 on it or something, and ended up winning it for $40. And then with shipping and tax and everything, I ended up paying around $50 for this knife, which I think is definitely a pretty good price for a knife like this, considering that when the Case Barlows came out new, they were like $60. Some of them were more than that. And this knife is better than those knives. And it's in carbon steel, which I prefer. I haven't really carried it yet. In fact, I haven't carried it at all yet, but it's just a neat knife. And it will, I'm sure, end up in my pocket at some point here. Okay. Little Great Eastern Cutlery 25 Barlow. Let's get it to focus on the actual Barlow here. Um, Cute little knife. It's got this really cute little spear blade here. I think it's about what, 2¼ inches or something like that. Yeah, about a 2¼ inch blade. Really cute, like fat spear blade. I really like this knife. This was the knife that I bought to come to grips with never getting a TC Barlow, and then I ended up getting a TC Barlow. So um, but anyway, this is in the Pioneer bone. It's not fit perfectly to the bolsters or anything. Not a huge deal. Just a cute little knife, and as you can see, I have carried it and used it a little bit. It's got some patina on it there. Really, really nice little knife if you just want like a little inconspicuous, not scary at all pocket knife. I really like the little 25. If they were available for not such ridiculous prices, I'd probably have another one. But for right now, I just have 125 and I really like it. I think it's a cute little knife. Okay, so last two knives I have here are Case Barlows. This one's a blue saw cut bone, and the saw cut on this one actually looks great. I love it. And I like the light blue bone as well. Action on this knife is really good. This is a single clip point blade. Stainless steel, unfortunately. If this was carbon steel, I'd probably carry this all the time. But Case very seldom makes the really cool looking knife or the really cool handle materials in carbon steel, because that's what we all want. In Case wouldn't want to make us all happy, I guess. Although I guess collectors don't want carbon steel. I don't know. But anyway, this is a really good made knife from Case and everything. Like I said, they did a pretty good job on the 2019 Barlows, at least from my experience from the ones that I bought. This one seems to be put together pretty decently. The action's really good. Their clip blades are a little weird looking. Like if I show you this clip blade compared to, I don't know, I'll pull out the Remington clip blade here. It's just a very strange looking clip blade. Like it's way fatter than it should be or something. I don't know. It just looks weird to me. Their clip blades. I don't know. But yeah, I think this is Caribbean blue bone or something like that. And the saw cut really does look great on this example. It's a very pretty knife. Probably one of the more pretty knives that I own. This was the first Case Barlow that I bought in 2019. And this is the smooth antique bone. Single bladed spear point. Pretty cool looking little knife. I carried it for a while and was really happy with it. Of course, it's in stainless steel. Action on this one's really good. The only thing that I don't really like is how thin it is. Because, I mean, it's a single bladed Barlow and everything. But, like, if you look at how thin this one is compared to the thickness of this one feels a lot more substantial in hand. And, like, even if you compare it to, like, the Rogers Jig Bone one, like, even this one's quite a bit thicker than the antique bone. This smooth antique bone knife was just so thin that it feels kind of weird to hold. That being said, still a good looking knife. Still works fine as a pocket knife and everything. It's just not my favorite Case Barlow that I have. And it's certainly not my favorite Barlow, because I think my favorite Barlow, I have to go with the TC, since it is my trail knife and everything. But yeah, I mean, Great Eastern Cutlery just makes a really good knife. Not much else I can say about it. Unfortunately, some people are ruining Great Eastern Cutlery for all of us by buying all the knives and then flipping them on eBay, which is kind of a dick thing to do. I think even most people who are like obsessed with free market capitalism can agree that that's a really dick thing to do. Um, but anyway, you can't get Great Eastern Cutlery, or if you can't get Great Eastern Cutlery, there are other nice options out there. Um, I really recommend the Boker Barlows. I think they're great. If you're not interested in a Barlow, any of the knives that Boker makes that were actually made in Solingen, Germany. Now they have like the hybrid knives or something, which I don't understand what they mean, but like any knife made by Boker that has this tang stamp here that says Boker, Solingen, Germany is made in Solingen. So any of those knives seem to be great, at least from my experience. Some slight issues sometimes. Like, I think one of my Stockmans had a little bit of side to side play on the sheep's foot blade. That stuff's easy to fix and not a big deal. Um, but overall, I think Boker makes a really good knife. Doesn't quite compete with Great Eastern Cutlery. It's somewhere in between Case and Great Eastern Cutlery in my mind. Um, but anyway, I'm not going to babble on forever about everything. This has been an update on my Barlow collection. I think there probably are a couple other like really cheap Barlows kind of floating around, but this was just what I had in my like collection that was really easy to find and easy to pull out and show quick. But I think I have a few more that are just cheap Barlows that were either bought at a flea market or are just like not that great. Like I have a knife made by Novelty Knife Company or something somewhere. That's like one of those shell designs that Imperial used to do. That's somewhere. I think I have another like Cut Master Barlow somewhere. I'm not sure where that's at. Um, but this is like the main collection. Like these are like the main Barlow knives that are in my little like containers for Barlow knives. Um, and I just kind of figured I'd do an update because I haven't done one on the Barlows in a while. So I figured why not. But anyway, before this video gets any longer and before I ramble on anymore, that's going to be it for this video. And I hope you guys have a good day.